are back live. Welcome, everybody, once again. Here we are on the TPV Nation. And as you can see by his absence, Michael John is not with us tonight, but I'm taking over the reins and I'm going to try to do my best job to make sure that we get the show running just like it. So I'd like to say good morning, good evening, whatever it is for you on the static planet. My name is Dale Quigley of High Spirits Paranormal, and we have one hell of a show for you going on today. I want to thank everybody who showed up on time, and just a few things before we bring out our fantastic guests that we have going on this week. Just a few things that are going on. Don't forget, coming up this coming weekend, once again, guys, the fight for Shaylee is continuously going on. So, guys, keep her in her prayers. I know she has had surgery today. We have not heard any of the updates as of yet from Dan Class, but he will surely update us all once her surgery went well, and I'm sure we know it did. And hopefully, this will be the way that Shaylee kicks this cancer's butt, like we've all been praying that she would. So, but coming up this Saturday, August 17th, right there, if you're in the Buffalo, New York area, there is another benefit event going on. All kinds of great guests showing up. I know Nick Groff and Tessa are going to be there. Patty Niagara is going to be there. And there's going to be a few other people there. So if you are in the Buffalo, New York area, make sure you go down and check out this amazing event. Show Shaylee some more support and the Class family as well. So, guys, that is fantastic that's happening. And also keep Shaylee in your prayers this whole time. Also, there we go. Hey, I don't know what happened there. That was like the craziest thing. It just kicked us right out of the studio there.
Yeah, I was sitting here. I was still backstage, and I was like, "Where'd he go?"
What happened? So yeah, let's try this again. So yeah, no, like I was in the middle of saying, well, this is Russ, everybody. Thank you, Russ, for showing up. This is a little bit was a little bit wonky. We got Courtney on the side. Hey, Courtney, thank you for joining us. So as I was about to announce before my whole computer decided to go wonky, Folks, we have made it. We have made it to 500 subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of our subscribers. Thank you so much for showing me and Michael John some love. We truly appreciate everybody from day one to day now. And guys, we hope that we keep up the good. We keep bringing out to you good content. But yeah, so right now, welcome to the show, Mr. Russ Shriver. Russ, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, sir. How about yourself?
Oh, I can't complain. Besides, these little spirits like to take over my computer every once in a while and do its own funky thing.
Those gremlins are so tedious.
Absolutely. Um, so Russ is a fellow podcaster and a paranormal investigator, as well as a longtime member of the Warren Paranormal Preservation Society, right up there in the New England area. So Russ, we're gonna get kicked off. I know you were on us once before, but for people that are just getting introduced to you once again, could you please just give us a brief rundown of like what got
Sure,
you into the paranormal?
sure. So, I'm Russ. If anybody's never met me, if I've never seen my head shaving shenanigans and everything else, um, I've been investigating the paranormal for 27 years now. Coming up on my 28th year. Um, yeah, that was a screenshot of the
Well,
event
we'll
we did
bring
in
that
Gettysburg.
back up in a little
Yeah,
bit later. Just explain what that whole thing was about because I
yeah.
was so
We'll
proud of
we'll
you
we'll
guys that weekend.
we'll get to that when we bring that up. I mean, it made me think of it when you brought up the Buffalo event coming up here next weekend, or this weekend, excuse me. Um, but I've been investigating paranormal for 27 years. My first ever investigation at 13 years old was Mansfield Reformatory, Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield,
Oh,
Ohio.
love that place.
Yeah, so if no one's ever been there, if you've seen the movie Shawshank Redemption, that's where the movie was filmed. Um, but I haven't been really investigating as much recently because of some health issues and things like that. Um, but it hasn't stopped me from doing the podcasting. I actually I co-host a show on Sunday with Jenny Davis called Unturned Pages. It's at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I also host a show on Monday evenings called Compass of Curiosites. That's at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern as well. And we're kind of like you. We kind of have a plethora of guests on. We have everybody in between: true crime, cryptids, UFOlogy, kind of everything in there. So I've kind of shifted gears more towards the podcasting than the investigating because let's face it, I'm lucky to make it past 10 o'clock at night half the night these nights anymore. So I mean, the last thing you want to hear on a recorder is me snoring in the corner.
The joys of getting older. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first got into investigate. I mean, being up all night from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. was nothing because and then you
Yeah.
still went to work afterwards
Yep.
and enjoyed your whole day. But nowadays, yeah, I mean, I love the investigations, love OSR, one of the most amazing places I ever got to experience. Did that last year with Timothy Shaw, my buddy
Oh,
Frank Kupka. We had Brandy from Blondes and Booze. We had all kinds of people out there. It was absolutely amazing event. Yeah, for those who have never experienced Ohio State Reformatory, I highly suggest it. Like, get out there, and it is a fascinating building, and a lot of great things go on there. I mean, so what got you really into switching gears over to the podcast world?
well, because of my health issues that I had that started 2 years ago, I've always done podcasting in the past. And, with my health issues, I was, bottled up at home. I couldn't really do anything. I wasn't really mobile. So I just started throwing myself into podcasting. Jenny and I really made a big push for Unturned Pages, and that show's become really, really popular. And that's thanks to all you guys out there. We're over on the Get Haunted Network, and um, Unturned Pages was actually the flagship show when Get Haunted launched their P3 network. And so we actually just celebrated a year with Get Haunted, but we have been Jenny and I have been doing the show Unturned Pages for, I want to say, like a year and a half prior to that on a different network.
Right.
Then I have always wanted to do my own show. I've had my own show in the past, another show called Batteries Drained, that I did way back in the day, probably 8-9 years ago. So I mean, podcasting's always been something I've loved to do. Back then, it wasn't the video podcasting like we have now. It was just straight audio, you know.
Right.
So this is back before the days of COVID, so we didn't have StreamYard or Zoom or anything like that. I mean, we did have Skype, but that was still kind of sketchy. Uh, but no, I mean, I
Yeah.
just found something because I wasn't able to work,
Right.
and and being laid up and everything, I just kind of threw my mind into another area to kind of distract myself from everything I was going through, and I feel it's paid off. I just myself, I just hit 500 followers on my Facebook page. I'm actually now up to 689 on my Facebook page for Compass Curiosities. So,
That's awesome.
congratulations to you on your 500 subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the Get Haunted Network has really launched a lot of people because they have a huge following, and it is such an amazing. Rob and Sarah and Danny and everybody over there at Get Haunted does a fantastic job. Uh,
Don't forget Courtney that's in the chat.
Courtney's on the side. That's right, Courtney on the side. Like I said, I truly, I mean, we were over there for a very long time, and then we've got a really amazing deal with KGRA. Uh, but at the same time, I truly love the fact of the P3 program. They really help people strive to be able to get their feet wet
Yep,
such a large pool. But but the community over there is it's family, and really in the paranormal field, us podcasters all together have to stick together and support one another. And I mean, from the moment we were over there, I had the opportunity to meet you and Jenny and a whole lot of other people. And like I said, you guys are just killing it over there. I love Unturned Pages as well as your Monday night shows. I try to catch it as often as I can. So yeah, I just love the aspect over there, and you guys are really killing it. And congratulations on all your accolades that you're getting to. Like I said, it's tough to be a podcaster. I mean, people, it's a lot of time, and
yep,
I know I'm going to be debuting a new show coming up in the fall. I'm going to do my own thing outside of the paranormal. It has, I mean, some of the guests will be paranormal people that you might recognize, but they
yep.
are also people that have also done something different. So I just hope that my new show will go over well as the Paranormal Voice and Compass Curiosities as well. Because, like I said, I fell in love with doing it, and
Yep.
now it's like I found something that I'm extremely proud of and passionate about, and it gives me a chance to be in the opportunity to be around other passionate people. And I think this is what it really is about: is showing your passion. And this is another way of doing it, not just being an investigator.
And that's the one thing I got to give it to Rob and Sarah over at Get Haunted is when you join the P3 network, they tell you right off the bat, this doesn't have to be your permanent home. If this is just a
Right.
stepping stone for you, then we will help you get to where you need to be, where you feel that either you've outgrown the network or you want to branch off and do your own thing. They fully support it 100%.
Yeah, and they continuously support after too. Like I said, we've been away from them for a little while, and I mean, I hear from Sarah and Rob, just pop in every once in a while, say, "Hey, how you doing? What's up? What's new? What's exciting? Are you still breathing?"
Yeah. Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, no, like I said, you make friends over there for life, and it's such an amazing thing. So we're going to talk. So back
Uh,
on
not to
uh,
interrupt you, but I
yeah.
just for some reason my Facebook just pulled up. I don't know why. Um Dan just posted um after a successful 6-hour surgery, Shaylee is now recovering in ICU at Children's Hospital. The procedure went smoothly, and our brave warrior is currently intubated and under anesthesia. The medical team is gradually bringing her out of the anesthesia and closely monitoring her pain management and breathing. We're thrilled to share that she's on the road to recovery, and we'll continue to keep everyone updated.
That's awesome, and that's the news we wanted to hear.
Yes, sir.
That is spectacular. Um, yeah, no, like I said, thank you very much, Courtney. Like I
Oh,
said, you
Courtney, I've
guys,
seen you on shows before. You make it look effortless too. So don't give yourself some credit.
absolutely. So yeah, so back in August, no, was it August? I don't even know. No, we're in August, so July. Uh, of course, we've heard back earlier in the summertime about Shaylee's condition, having a bone cancer. I never want to try to say it because I'll just butcher it,
No, yeah,
and
I'm the same way.
I just say it's a bone cancer. It's ugly because all cancers are ugly. That's just the
Yep.
bottom line. But I started seeing like everybody. The moment that Dan posted was everybody in the paranormal field who knows Dan, like, support out of the woodworks and absolutely amazing. And so myself and Michael John, we pulled together and we did a telethon, so to speak, for Shaylee, and then I tuned into, I believe it was your show, and the next thing I know, Russ is auctioning off his hair all over his body. And I'll tell you,
Yep.
I was so proud of you for willing to put your sacrifice your body for Shaylee and the cause. And like I said, and you guys did fantastic.
I
Like
appreciate that.
you guys raised like close to $5,000.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, so the picture came up a little bit earlier. So, for those that know Russ, you see Russ right now, but he had this funky hair and this wild mountain man beard going on. And like I said, he auctioned that off to raise funds for Shaylee to go help fight her fight to show like everybody were on board. Like I said, you and Wes Coleman did a fantastic job, and
Well, like I
like I
said, we
said,
even got Dave Schrader to sit down and shave off his goatee.
yeah, I saw that at the very end, and I was like, oh my god, the iconic goatee is coming
Yep.
off. That's like Batman taking off his mask.
Yep. Yep. And actually, it was funny because we didn't realize that we were actually just finishing up.
Yeah,
And Dave walked out because right before this happened, was our celebrity bartending event, and Dave was part of it with John Zaffis, and Dave just kind of like walks out the door to kind of see what was going on outside, and he's like, "All right, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and I'll shave off the goatee." And he just
nice.
now shaved it off. I think we raised another $240 just from him doing that.
Wow,
So
that is absolutely amazing. Like I said, the paranormal community came together for Shaylee and the class family, and this is absolutely spectacular. As people can see, there is a barcode on the bottom right corner or bottom left hand corner of the screen for me. Might be the right to the viewers. I'm not sure. But that is the barcode that goes to the GoFundMe page. You can scan that at any time. And that barcode, like I said, from the moment we put it up there, that's going to stay up there until we get the all clear that Shaylee has kicked this thing in the ass. And we continuously pray for her. Obviously, we're getting good news out of Dan. She's out of surgery. She's on the road to recovery. So, for those that have dealt with cancer in their fight, we know that it is a long road ahead. She's still not out of the woods, but at least we know that the surgery so far has been a successful. So, just wanted to say congratulations to you, Wes Coleman and Dave Schrader, for doing what you guys did down at the bash this year. For everybody who attended the bash this year, it seemed like everybody had a great time, and there was a lot of greatness going on, a lot of love, and a lot of good things happening. I'm so sad that I missed it this year, but travel plans were just not in my thing. But I will make it down to Gettysburg sooner or later because it is definitely a bucket list place to be for sure.
We'll get you down there for sure. That's not a doubt. So I mean, Mr. Coleman brought me authentic Canadian maple syrup.
Oh,
So
it's
I
some of the
I,
best stuff.
I have it sitting on my counter right now. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm waiting for a good set of pancakes or waffles or something, and then
Oh,
I'll
there.
try
And
it.
by the end, you're just drinking out of the bottle. You're like, "Oh, this is good stuff."
I was
It-
telling Wes when we were at Gettysburg that I was like, yeah, so because he gave me a shot glass to go with it. And I was like, so do we do shots of this now, or like what do we do with this? Like, I don't know how you Canadians are up there.
well, we get crazy once in a while.
I mean,
Uh,
I do a shot of apple cider vinegar every morning, just that because of the healing effects and whatnot, and the antioxidants and everything that are in it. But never heard of doing a shot of maple syrup every day.
well, it's got its benefits, especially in the wintertime. Gives you a little bit of a liner.
And
Uh,
diabetes.
but yeah, no, Michael John and his apple cider vinegar every day too. I mean, he
Yep.
keeps trying to get me to try it. I tried it once and I was like, "Yep, no, I'll just I'll figure out something else." I appreciate the thought, but no thanks.
Well, you know what? That's also like a big thing for me is pickle juice. I drink pickle juice all the time.
Yes, you did that as a you are what was that?
We were raising money for haunts for the homeless.
That's it. I remember that, and you had this big,
Yep.
huge bottle,
Container
and it was
of yep.
pickle juice. And you
Yep.
said that somebody donated. I forget what it was. You said you will just down that, and I was like, no, he's not. He won't. He'll probably get halfway done. Nope, you gulped that baby down.
Well, you know what? Pickle juice has its health benefits. I mean, it actually long distance runners and marathon runners, they use pickle juice to keep themselves hydrated and not cramp up.
I mean, yeah, yeah, no, like I said, but I think
You're not going to find me running anytime soon, but I mean, I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah, I'd be running, but probably to the bathroom.
yeah, well, I mean, trust me, I love doing it, and it was for a great cause with Jeff Benson out there, doing haunts for the homeless and everything. Um, and you know, so like I said, with the hair, the pickle juice, everything like that, it's I'm not above doing some crazy things to raise some money for some good causes.
You know what? And that's what I admire about you. You are a genuine guy that is always out there to support your fellow paranormal brother and sister, and you're willing to just go above and beyond. And I mean, it takes a certain type of person to be like that. And I'm so glad that you are like that because that just tell the world just how kind-hearted and genuine you are. And I'll tell you, you are a unique breed, my friend, because not a lot of people, especially nowadays, would love to step up and try to do stuff. But here you are. Every time there's a cause, you are usually front and center, going, "Okay, what do you want me to do? I will do
Yep,
it.
I'm here.
If
I'm
somebody's
here.
going to donate, I will do it."
Yep. Hey, everything has a price. I mean, I
Uh,
waxed my legs in Gettysburg too, so I mean,
boy, your wife must have been so happy when you got home.
oh, she was with me, but she
Oh,
knows like, okay, so this is 2 week of beard growth. It, it's
wow.
our it's already growing back, so I know how my hair grows. So I'm like, oh yeah, shave it all off in the middle of summer. Yeah, it'll be back by the end of August. Not a problem.
It'll be back by wintertime. We
Hmm.
got a question here. Does
Yes.
anyone here believe in vampires?
Now, are we talking old school Bram Stoker vampires? Or are we talking the goth kids that run around under bridges and say they're vampires?
That
Or
that
like,
is a good
uh,
question.
okay,
Jess,
are we?
if you're still there, could you just clarify like what type of vampires are we thinking about? Like, yeah,
I'll make
there's
it easy. Are we talking Interview with the Vampire, or are we talking Twilight?
well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be into the sparkly kind.
Well, up here in Rhode Island, I believe it's either Rhode Island or Connecticut. I can't remember, but we have the Legend of Mercy Brown.
I've
That
never heard that story, so you want to share that one with us?
Mercy Brown was actually suspected to be a vampire. And like she's buried up here. I believe I want to say it's in Exeter, Exeter, Connecticut. I want to say. I can't remember. I can't remember it right. Like this is New England folklore. Like
Yeah.
I'm originally from Ohio. I've only been up here for 8 years, so I'm still learning things every day. But she was suspected to be a vampire. So there's this whole folklore going around her about how she was draining blood, and you know, when she had died or something, that she was placed in a tomb because it was during the winter time and the ground was too hard to dig a grave, and like her body like stayed preserved, so she was like thought to be a vampire because she never aged. But in all reality, you're inside a stone chamber, you're pretty much being put into a meat locker, so yeah, you're gonna stay preserved.
Pretty much.
Like,
Yeah.
so but there was this whole like folklore and story around it and everything. I got to give a big shout out to my buddy Damien in the chat room, good old from Edinburgh, Scotland over there.
Oh, all the
Had
way
him
from
on the show
Scotland.
on.
Thank you, Damien,
Yep.
for showing up.
Had him on my show on Compass on Monday. Great show. Definitely an interesting character and has some very insightful and some very good questions.
Yeah, I did. I was catching bits and parts of that, and I will promise you, I will go back and finish watching it because, like I said, I mean, you guys over on Unturned Pages and Compass Curiosity, you guys get some pretty amazing guests on there. So yeah, I love it, and because I love hearing, especially from people that are from internationally, because paranormal is different all over the world.
Hmm.
I know we had Peter and Dan from Australia on here,
Yep.
and those guys are truly amazing. And like I said, and just how different. I mean, it's similar, but also the beliefs are different. Like I said, it's a whole different culture thing than what we know here in the United States, which is pretty cool.
Oh, for sure. And that's one of the big questions I asked Damien when I had him on the show on Monday was, what are the cultural differences between the investigating that he's seen stateside versus over in Scotland? And there were some pretty striking differences.
Right.
I guess the people over in Scotland, if I remember correctly, Damien, correct me if I'm wrong, but he said the people over in Scotland are a lot more on the technical side of things. Like they like to use the equipment and things like that. They are spiritualistic and whatnot in their own ways, but whereas we do, um, we bring in psychics and mediums and clairvoyance and clairaudience into investigations. Um, it doesn't seem that happens much over there.
Yeah, and that is interesting. That is for sure because that's it's I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, Damien just said it. It's true old school over there. But so that's the last time you were on our show, we got
Yes, sir.
talking about something that really hit home with me, and that's when we started talking about attachments. And
I just had this conversation. Like this is, and everybody out there listening, this is show 4 of 4 this week for me. I did Unturned Pages on Sunday. I did Compass on Monday. I was on Rustic Spiritual or Rustic. I can't remember the name of it, but it was Stacy Lee last night. Now I'm here tonight. So 4 podcasts in a row while working and everything. So it's my
true
last 2
rock and
off.
roll, true rock and roll star you are. And so I know we just started talking about this the last time you were on, and this is why I wanted to get you back because
Sure.
attachments and really on affecting people and going into haunted places uh, with not being well. How vulnerable people are, and you said this is something you've gave a lot of lectures on and stuff
Yes,
like
sir.
that. So let's get back into talking a
Sure.
little bit about attachments. If you want to give just a brief explanation for those that might be new to the paranormal, somebody who's going to be listening later on and probably just doing research into the paranormal attachments. What is attachments to you, and what does that mean?
So an attachment, we have many different names for them: attachment, hitchhiker, things like that. And it's a spirit that jumps onto your physical being and it is pretty much a hitchhiker. It wants to live vicariously through you. And that actually can an attachment, depending on how strong it is, because of course, if you know anything about possession, oppression, things like that. I was considered in the oppression state
Okay.
of an attachment. I wasn't into a possession in that, because it's rare, but it happens more. Um, I was in the oppression state of an attachment, and it pretty much was ruling my life. It was making me make decisions that I generally wouldn't make. My personality traits changed. Um, Everything in the world started going wrong for me, and I hate to say it that way, but it was one of those, like, it was kind of, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong kind of
Right.
thing. So that was the mentality I had at that point. Um, but I had 3 energy workers actually remove the attachment, and it took almost 2.5, 3 hours for it to be done. And there were actually before and after pictures from when I had my attachment removed, and it's like a night and day difference. That you could actually see, like, I look younger after the attachment was removed. One of the energy workers actually got physically sick after the attachment removal was done. And the spot of grass where he actually got sick, um, he was actually dead the next morning. So that was very interesting to see. But what people don't realize is, I always tell people, if you're starting into the paranormal at all, um, yeah, sorry, Damien, that's not toes. But if you're starting into the paranormal, never go into an investigation emotionally, physically, or mentally compromised. You just definitely can't do that.
uh, um, no, and I mean, yeah, going into any location unprepared is can be. I mean, every place is different. I mean, I've been an investigator for over a decade, um, and it's just one of those. If you go in and kind of don't know what you're dealing with, it could affect you pretty bad. But then there's a lot of places we've been to that they're just like Casper the Friendly Ghost. You don't have to
Yes.
worry about, because popular belief, because there are some shows on the network that we're not going to name. People want to make you believe that you get possessed every time you go into a place.
You have these people out there that are screaming demon every time somebody sneezes. Like, you know,
Well, see, and that's a word that I don't particularly go with. I don't think anything is really demonic. I believe in negative energies, yes.
yes,
Uh, does a demonic entity exist? I probably could say yes, but I'm sure they've got better things to possess than some Joe Schmo that just wants to go into a haunted house. Unless
exactly.
you are really trying to conjure that up, though. I mean, that's the thing, though, and that's where experience and uh, intent
Yes, that's actually what I was
lie.
just gonna say, is where your intentions lie.
Right. Yeah. You want to go into a haunted place and try to conjure up something demonic. By all means, they will show up. There is no doubt about it. I mean, there is the reasons why we have exorcist priests in this world, because
Yep.
people do unfortunately do get attacked by them, and that goes all the way into leaning into people with mental health issues and
Yes.
stuff like that, and how vulnerable your mindset going into a place is as well.
Hmm.
Like with me, like I do suffer from it, but also at the same time, I've also learned, because of my attachment experience, on how really to protect myself overall now,
Yeah.
where before I never even thought about it. Like, I knew it was a thing, and not to say that I was cocky and I would say, "Oh, nothing will ever happen to me." But the thing is, it's just you don't know what situation you put yourself into unless you do a lot of research into the house or place you're going to investigate, right?
Yes. And that's the problem, I think, these days, is you have these uh locations where you go into, like, OSR, for example, or, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. It's you go into these places and you don't know what you're going to experience or face because you have a very big plethora of personalities. I'll say that personalities that were housed in these locations.
Right.
So you never know what you're going to come across. So, I mean, with protecting yourself and everything, that's, I said it last night and I'll say it again. And it's something I'll always say that, you can protect yourself as much as you want to, but it only goes as far as you believe in it.
Right. Absolutely. And that goes back to intent.
Yep.
If you, yeah, if you just sprinkle some holy water on you, wear a cross, and walk into a place that is known to have negative energy,
Yep.
well, just because you throw holy water and wear a cross, it doesn't mean it cannot attach itself to you or even attack you in
Correct.
some manner because you're just believing that this stuff automatically protects. It goes beyond like a whole belief system into in how this all works. And like I said, it amazes me and blows my mind on how people are so unprepared and think that they know it all. And but the second they get attached, boy, they're crying. They need an exorcist done.
Yeah. See, I have a joke at work. And if anybody out there, I'm a store manager for Spirit Halloween. And I always have a joke. Like if a customer comes up and like they're standing at the counter, we're checking them out and they sneeze like 2 times. I said, if you do one more, I'm calling a young priest and an old priest. And it makes them laugh all the time. So I kind of stick with that. So it's like if the second bless you doesn't stick, then we're gonna have some other issues.
Damien asks, "What is the scariest moment you've had on an investigation?"
um, when I was actually caught this on video, I was actually choked by my headphone cord.
Wow.
That was unseen. I was actually at Hillview Manor in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. It's an old nursing home, and actually, it was. I wouldn't call it an asylum. It was. I guess you kind of call it a poorhouse. Because of transients and everything like that, and people that weren't wanted by their family anymore, they would be there, and then it turned into a nursing home over time. But down in the boiler room, there was a gentleman that passed away due to exposure and overconsumption. So I guess the story of that was um, one night he left the poorhouse and went out, and of course got himself a bottle and was having himself a good old time. But this was in the dead middle of winter in northwestern Pennsylvania, so the winters can get very bad. And I guess he had frostbite, so to get back into the building, he found his way into the boiler room, and he was so skunk drunk at that point that he just laid down on the floor and ended up passing away from overconsumption and frostbite.
Wow.
He's not a very, very happy spirit down there.
Right.
And I was there actually with the ghost detective, Bob Christopher, and his team. And they were doing a filming there because I had been there multiple times. So they reached out to me and asked me if I would want to come and film with them. And I was like, of course I would. So there's a part where there's 3 of us in the boiler room. And I had like the old school, kind of like you had, like almost like envision like your necklace is like the earbuds, the
Yep.
cords coming down. Um, Sorry, work's texting me. But so you see, like I had a little like a little scruff, like kind of
Right.
almost like what I have now, and I was wearing a necklace, but I also had my earbuds in, so I had the cords coming down, and there was a point where like I heard something to the right of me, and you see me go like put my hand up and like trying to listen, and during the video you see the cord actually like the best way I can describe it actually is here's a cord. I'll use this as an example. So you have this hanging here,
Right.
and when I turn my head to the right, you see the cord actually pop out and then come straight across my neck.
Wow.
And I immediately reached up and like grabbed my neck, and I was like, oh, okay, that was weird. And then, thankfully enough, the guy that was running the camera actually had the camera on me the entire time. And
Wow.
you see me in the video, like, because, like I said, I was wearing a necklace because I always wear a Saint Benedict and a Saint Michael medallion when I go investigate. Um, and you see me doing all the weird stuff, like trying to see if like the cords got caught on my necklace or anything like that, and it we couldn't figure it out. Like it was like, and after that happened, that room became immediately uncomfortable, like immediately.
Wow.
Like it was kind of like, okay, I think it's time for us to take a break. Like,
Uh, yeah, and Courtney said it best. Some people think it's a joke and don't take it seriously until it's too late, and you never know what is going to happen. Absolutely,
exactly,
it's
100%.
with
I,
me.
I saw I saw Courtney actually ask the question, like, what back up further in the chat, what places I haven't investigated that I want to. Um, you know,
Let's,
that's a lot of international. I mean, because a lot of the places I've done, like, I don't go to places to investigate. I go for the history. I love history.
right.
So it's um it's a lot more for the history than it is the paranormal activity of things. Um, so like I would love to go to like one of the places that people always give me hell about is I would love to visit Auschwitz.
Yep, there it is.
Like I would definitely love to visit Auschwitz, just not even for the paranormal activity, just the history and the feeling of what that place must feel like.
I'm with you on that, Russ. I don't really look at a lot of places that I would love to go investigate as to go there because of the haunted history. I like to go to places because of the actual the history of what it was, why it was built, why it was around, and stuff like that. Like I'm a huge history buff. I love I love reading history stories. I love to learn about new places. Mine is a lot of international as well, like Scotland, Ireland, England, France, like a lot of those
Yeah,
places, because some of those places are the like have some of the most oldest w- places on earth. Like just to go to England to go see the Stonehenge
yeah,
and know what Stonehenge was. I mean, it's nothing really paranormal. You don't hear people talk about paranormal stories about Stonehenge, but
no,
you talk about the history and the stuff that happened there. So I would be with you on that one as far as internationally, yeah. I mean my whole bucket list of places, if you want to talk paranormal, number one on the list, and I always tell everybody, is Alcatraz. I want to investigate Alcatraz.
I've
Uh,
had the pleasure to be able to go to Alcatraz actually on my birthday.
oh,
Um,
that
some of
is
my friends
awesome.
from California brought me out for my birthday. I was doing an event out there, and my birthday surprise present from them was they took me down to Pier 39, which is the pier right off of San Francisco where you can see Alcatraz. Took me out
Nice.
to dinner, and I'm like, okay, well let's get ready to go because it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh no, we got something else in store. And we start walking down, and they had bought the what they call the twilight tickets. So the twilight tickets for Alcatraz is it's the last boat from the dock that goes out to Alcatraz. And you get to be out there when the sun's setting over Alcatraz and everything. So we didn't get to investigate because Alcatraz is a federally
Yeah.
federally controlled area. And so you're never going to be able to investigate it, unfortunately. Um, unless you go through some serious red tape and loopholes. Um, but I was able to actually just be there and experience it,
Yeah.
and it
And,
was just
and
so amazing.
I would imagine. I mean, the stories, and I mean, I have people who sent me pictures of when they've gone to Alcatraz of images of what look like entities in the cells. There was one. I wish I still had it, but it's on an old computer that is now long gone. But it was somebody that was down taking a tour through solitary confinement area, and they took a picture through the this little hole that was in the door that
Yeah.
the guards obviously would look at the prisoners in, and there was it looks like a two eyes and a nose looking back at them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, that was phenomenal. But yeah, no, even to be inside, like I said, paranormal, like I said, it doesn't have to happen at night. It doesn't happen,
No.
it happens anytime. And especially for ones that do it in asylums and prisons and stuff like, you gotta realize like those places were active during the day, not at night. They were all in bed by like
Yep.
7 o'clock at night. Lights turned out. So
Asylums.
you're going into a prison or asylum. You know, there was a bedtime, so it's a curfew thing. Like, yeah, you
Yep.
get activity at night, but
So
I find when I go,
the one
sorry,
thing
go
I
ahead,
will
Russ.
say, no, 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 sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the
Yep,
one thing I
yeah,
will say about that is like you are completely 100% correct. Activity does not only happen at night. And that is one of the most commonly misconceived perceptions of the paranormal field. I've had more activity during the day at like old hospitals and nursing homes and things like that than I have during the night because that's
absolutely,
when they're up and about and roaming around. The
right.
one experience that I had was actually at Rolling Hills Asylum in East Bethany, New York. It was, I want to say it was 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And we were in the kids' wing. And we were getting some great Echo Vox activity and Spirit Box activity. And we could tell we were talking to kids because they were being very playful and, things like that. Um, and it just like the with the Ghost Box and the Echo Vox running, um, it kind of seemed like these kids were kind of breaking the rules a little bit and with being up past bedtime
Right.
because you'd hear them like running up and down the hallway. And I'd be like, oh, you need to come back in here. The nurse is going to come check on you. And I get like, no, having fun, like on the ghost box. And I was like, no, you really need to come back in. And then like, um, somebody kind of portrayed the nurse, like the nurse coming in to check on the room. And I'm not kidding you, Dale. All activity on the ghost box, the echo box, everything stopped as soon as they were like, I'm coming to check on everybody. And like everything just went silent.
Oh wow.
And I was just like, okay, all right.
Which would be typical behavior, right? And stuff like that, especially when you're around kids. But yeah, I've had some of my best experiences during the day, like even at OSR, like walking through
Oh God.
OSR during the day, like broad daylight. I've had some pretty amazing experience. Had a very amazing experience when we were investigating at night, but at the most part, like I said, some of the most best experience I've had happened during the day, just doing a walkthrough
Yeah,
and stuff happens.
if anybody's near Mansfield, Ohio, I think it's like they probably raised the prices now, but it's like I think when I was going, because I only lived 45 minutes away from it when I lived in Ohio. So like I would take a day trip and just drive down there and I would buy because they have self-guided tours. You pay like I think it was like $15 at the time, but you have free roam in the prison
Right.
and you can walk around by yourself and they don't say a word to you.
No.
So you could literally go in there and walk around that place for 3, 4, 5 hours for the $15. And during the daylight is such a different experience than it is at night.
Oh, absolutely. The last time I was at OSR, I think it's now around 25-30 bucks now
Okay. Well,
to
that's
get in to
fair.
do a self-guided tour. They still do like I know this past weekend they just had the 30th anniversary of the Shawshank
I
Redemption,
so
all
wanted
kinds
to
of
be there.
me too, man. I was so desperately trying to get down there because I thought that would have been an amazing weekend to go down there to experience all that. So they had some of the actors there. It was so phenomenal.
And the one
But
thing I actually saw, they actually had the screen used rock hammer that Andy Dufresne, Tim Robbins' character used.
yeah,
That is actually now in the museum at Mansfield.
yeah, I definitely got to get back there. Plan on going down there again. Hopefully sometime soon, because like I said, it's one of my favorite places. It's only 3 hours away from me.
Oh, perfect.
I would take that drive all day, every weekend if I could.
Oh
I
yeah.
know Kathy and Greg down there. The one time we were talking to him, I'm like, how do I volunteer here? Because I would come here every weekend
Oh,
to volunteer.
easy. Oh, easy. Oh, hands down. And
Uh,
that's actually how I got into the investigating there is because my dad was part of the historical society
oh, nice.
and they had just shut the prison down like 2 years prior. And the historical society went in going, okay, we want to make this to be able to do tours and make this kind of a tourist attraction. So they were bringing in the volunteers from the historical society to come in and clean the prison up, sweeping, scraping paint, cleaning out old files, things like that. And so my dad and I went down, and they were like, we did like the cleanup and everything. And they're like, oh, if you want to stay a couple extra hours and investigate, you by all means go ahead. And I'm like looking at my dad and like, investigate what are we investigating? And of course, my dad always had a go bag, and he was like, all right, well, here we go. And he had a recorder, flashlights, he had everything ready to go. And I was like, well, I guess that was the first night at 13 years old. That was the first night my dad found out I smoked,
Oh, wow.
because I got the shit scared out of me. And I walked outside, walked to his truck. I knew he always kept a spare pack of cigarettes in the glove box of his truck. I went out there, I popped down that tailgate, grabbed the glove box, opened that pack of cigarettes up, and I'm just sitting out there ripping a cigarette on the back of the tailgate. And he comes out and looks at me and goes, not going to yell at you. I understand, but let's keep this between us two, okay? And
Uh,
then
it,
sat down right next to me and had one.
I guess if you're gonna find out, that would be the way to do it. Um, Damien, what's the most haunted auto? What's the most
Haunted
haunted
item, and how did I
item?
come by it? Um, I own a couple, and I call them enchanted items. I don't call them haunted items, because you don't really know, because energy can attach to anything.
Right.
It's like my energy, like just for example, my energy could be attached to this bottle of peroxide. Like, it is what it is. It's a medical thing. Like, you're using it to help yourself heal. So
Right.
there could be a fact that you could transfer some energy into it. So, um, but I do have a couple items. I have a doll that my friend Jeremy gave me 2 years ago in Gettysburg. It's an old doll from, can't remember the country, but it's a wooden hand carved marionette doll. And it has I've had two different mediums and an energy worker read it for me. And they said there's some, they didn't say not so good energy, but mischievous energy coming off of it. And there have been times we have him in a little lantern case. Um, and there have been times we have him sitting upright against the back of the glass. And there'll be times we'll come out in the morning and he'll be like slumped forward, or his arm will be like up resting somewhere, and it's like, okay, we don't touch you. So I'm like, there's legitimately dust buildup on top of this lantern case, like we don't touch it at all.
Right.
So for it to be like slumped forward or something like that, it's like, okay. I have a 1912 children's death parasol, which would be a little umbrella a child would use at a funeral back in the days, and it's all black. I have pieces from Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. I have slate tiles and pieces of watches and keys from Rolling Hills Asylum. I always try, and I always clear it with the owner if they're not selling something, but if it was okay if I, took something as like not necessarily a souvenir, but like I collect historical pieces. And, it's one of those things where, like Sharon, when COVID hit at Rolling Hills, she had slate tiles from the roof that came off the roof, and she was doing like little art projects. She was like gluing keys to them, watch pieces that had been found inside the asylum, and was selling them off during COVID to make some money to stay open. So I have a couple pieces from her on that. But I mean, I don't seek out items. They kind of just find me, I guess you could say.
Uh, I don't own anything haunted. Uh, I don't. I just that is something I don't desire to collect. But I mean, I do have, and I will send you a piece, Russ, just to add to
Okay.
your collection. I have some of the original slate board from the Hinsdale house,
Oh, yes, please.
and I it was gifted to me, and it was such a large piece, and I was trying to figure out how to get it back across the border, and I had to break it up a little bit.
Okay.
So then I ended up just cutting it into like some smaller pieces, and for people that collect things, I kind of just I'll give them a piece of it, and deal with it as you will. There's nothing attached to it. It's
Yeah,
been it's been blessed and it's been clean, but and
but it
I'm
has
usually the one.
historical. It has
Yeah,
the
it's
historical significance.
yeah. It came off the house that when Dan bought it, it was before he replaced them all. It was
Okay.
the original wood that was on the house. So
It's not
I
asbestos, is it?
no, no, no. Well, the paint could be because it is paint from the early 1900s. So, but yeah, no, I'll definitely be happy to ship that out
That
to you.
that'd be
But
fantastic.
uh, but yeah, so got a little bit sidetracked.
No,
Getting
no.
back into attachments.
Yes.
Uh, the most scariest thing I had happen to me was actually at the Hinsdale house
Mhm.
when I investigated back in 2018. I say it was something that really truly messed me up. It took me almost a year to be even able to talk about what happened to me. We went down there for an investigation. I ended up bringing home an attachment, and for a whole week since I got home, it was like everything felt like watching a point of view camera of what I was living my life. I was hovering above myself, watching myself talk, walk, and do things, but I didn't feel like I was doing it. I felt like somebody else was doing it. And every night when I would go to bed, visions of the house kept coming back to me and everything. And I lost so much sleep that after about a week, I reached out to a good friend of mine. I messaged them and I just told them what was happening. And like within like minutes, I get a reply from this person. It's like, call me now. And I was like, ooh, that can't be good.
Yeah, right. You always get
It's
that
like your
message and you're
doctor
like,
saying, yeah, we got your test results. Time to call you. So I called them, and she was like, "Yeah, you've got a really nasty attack." And with me struggling with mental illness as it was really taking over. Like I felt like the darkness coming
yeah.
back, and so she told me what I had to do, and she goes, "I'm gonna get this thing off you," but she goes, "I really need you just to crawl in the tub and submerge your body with Epsom salt."
Yep.
And she goes, "Stay in there for at least 30 minutes so I can do what I have to do." And I'll tell you, when I emerged out of that tub, I felt like the world was taken off of my shoulders.
Yep.
It felt like I slept for a month. I was
Yeah,
so,
you
I
had
was
such as
cloud
weight
nine.
lifted. Yep.
So yeah, that was my bad experience, and I was always afraid to go back to the Hinsdale house. And after several talks with Dan, and Dan did prove a point to me, is that as an investigator, you have to show that it does not rule you. You have to go
Yep.
back and face it, and it'll be a way to let it go. So I always promised Dan that I would one day come back to the Hinsdale house and take back what it did to me, because, like I said, it took me a year. It messed me up. It was that bad.
See, I had an experience like that at a location in Cleveland, Ohio called the House of Wills. And I had something that happened to me that kind of like it didn't necessarily shake me to my core. Well, the same thing with Bobby Mackey's. It didn't necessarily shake me to my core, but it was kind of like I don't know if I want to come back to this place or not, like ever again, ever again. And as I got further into my paranormal journey and everything, I started to think more and more. I'm like, I can't let these spirits run me out. Like, so I eventually now I'm not going to get the chance to because they're tearing down Bobby Mackey's. Um,
yes.
but I'm not going to get a chance to go back there. But House of Wills, they're starting to do investigations again, so I'll eventually be able to return there and
Well,
face whatever was there.
With Bobby Mackey's, like I said, I through a lot of the research that I've done, I think the attachment is to the land. You could tear down Bobby Mackey's and build something else there, and
Yeah,
those entities are going to stay right where they're at. They're not going to go away because you knock it down.
no,
I mean, you could always show up on the sidewalk and just say, do whatever it is you got to do and say, taking back control. Uh, but yeah, that is one place also as well that I sorely wish that I would have been able to get down to Kentucky to do Waverly Hills and then do Bobby Mackey's all in the same week. I think that would be an absolute fantastic thing to do. But
Well,
unfortunately,
put your
now that
walking shoes on for Waverly because I tell you what, we were there for 10 hours one night doing an investigation, and I think we only covered three-quarters of the entire place.
uh,
Like,
y-
it is so
yeah, well,
massive.
and that's a lot like Ohio State Reformatory too.
Oh,
That
yeah.
place is so massive. To investigate that place, I mean, unless you're rushing what you're doing, but if you're rushing, you're not going to get any good
No.
results. Uh, yeah, I mean, we got to make a second trip back to OSR to be able once again to cover all the places that we never did the first time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, a massive place like that. Yeah, talking to Vince Keelan, who was a tour guide there for many years, still goes back
Yep.
there quite often, and I'm the urban
Urban investigator.
the urban investigator.
Yep.
Uh, Amazing guy, like I
Yeah,
said.
Vince refuses to do the show for me until I grow my hair back. He told me he told me that in Gettysburg because the first time he saw me without hair, he was like, I'm not doing the show unless you grow your hair back.
Say, okay, give me a month, I'll be back.
Well, I told him I also work for Spirit Halloween, so I could always just buy a wig.
There you go. No, but attachments, yeah, I mean, folks, they are a real thing, and they can
Yes.
do some serious damage to your mental health. And I've known people that have got really sick from attachments, and
Yep.
I'm sure if you dig down deep enough in the rabbit hole, that you would find people that have actually died from attachments because it can do some serious health issues and mental health issues. I know there was a guy here where I lived. I was working with him, and to this day, he eventually gave in and committed suicide. Uh, but he had an attachment to him, and he just could not shake it. And I brought out every available resource that I knew, even as far as a exorcist priest to work with him, and it eventually got to him, and he did end up committing suicide,
I
which is
am
a
sometimes
sad
it
thing.
gets to you. Yeah, sometimes it gets to you.
So for anybody out there that would think they have an attachment or try to avoid attachment, what would be your best advice?
Um, well, like I said from the start of it, never go into an investigation emotionally, mentally, or physically compromised. That could be health issues, that could be mentally depressed or sad or hurt or angry. Um, always go into an investigation with a clear mind. That's why they tell you to ground and meditate before you go into an investigation. Um, always keep your guards up. Like we discussed here already, intention is a very important thing. If I put out the intention that I will not be harmed, nothing can come home with me, and nothing can harm me, then that's my intention to the spirits that are inside this location. And I always say it every time before I leave. I say, you're not allowed to come with me. You must stay where your home is. I am not your home. You are not allowed to attach yourself to myself, any of my team members, any of my equipment, or any of us. We meant you no harm, and you should do the same respect and mean us no harm. And that's something I say every time. And it's not only protecting yourself, but it's also showing the spirits at a location respect.
Absolutely. I know before I leave any location, that's usually the first thing I do. I mean, I also cleanse myself before and after an investigation, but I always, before I walk out of the house, I always thank the spirits and the energy of the house for
Yep.
allowing me to come into their space. But I also make it very clear that this is their home. Coming with me is not an option.
Yep.
That they are not allowed. And I mean, and it's the intent. I mean, people thinks it's just words, but you have to believe that what you're saying is boundaries, and setting boundaries for spirits, energies, whatever you want to call them, ghosts. you have to build boundaries at each and every location you go into. Uh, I start every investigation by saying thank you for letting me in, and when I leave, I say goodbye and I thank them once again for all their interaction that I've got. But always make it clear, like this is their home. They're not welcome to come with me. If they
Yep.
need to go someplace else, I will be happy to cross them over, but they just cannot come home with me.
Yeah. You can go anywhere you want. Just don't come with me.
So, Russ, before I let you go, this has been a quick hour, my friend. I always enjoy sitting down talking with you about the paranormal, and I really can't wait till we can actually sit down face to face,
Oh, for
have a
sure.
beer, have a coffee, whatever you want, and talk more shop. But how can we find your shows that you are on? I know you're just releasing some merch that's coming out. How
I
can
did.
people find your merch?
So if you
Give us
go
the whole
to
lowdown.
all right, so if you go to Compass Curiosities on Facebook, yeah, that's where you'll be able to find the pre-order link and everything for the Compass Curiosities t-shirts. They are $25 plus shipping. I know, a little high for a t-shirt, but it's because the cost of the printing, the shipping, and everything else has gone up. Unfortunately, that's something we all have to deal with.
Right.
Unturned Pages Sunday night. You can find us on Unturned Pages on Facebook as well. Compass Curiosities on Instagram. Um, if I had the links all readily available, I literally just closed Facebook.
They are in this. They are in the description below.
Oh,
Your
fantastic.
YouTube page.
Yeah,
Uh,
YouTube page. If you look up Unturned Pages, I believe it's Unturned COC or something like that. You'll find both shows there. We're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on iTunes, we're all over the place. Anywhere you find streaming or podcasts, we're all over that. And Russ Stiver on Facebook, that's my personal page. Reach out to me if you have questions or anything like that. Like, I know a lot of you out there that are listening probably already know me, so you know how to get a hold of me. If not, get in touch with Dale and he'll put you in contact with me.
Absolutely. Like I said, you guys are doing amazing things. Keep up the good work with both shows. Unturned Pages Sunday nights, Compass of Curiosities every Monday night. I think that follows right after Paranormally Blonde, I believe.
It does, yeah. Apparently Blonde is Monday nights at 7 p.m. And then there's an hour break between well, Rob and Sarah end up going over a little bit as always, as I always do.
Yeah.
Um, but my show's 9 p.m. Eastern, and I end up going a little over. And then the next show after that is Greg Bakken with Ghostbox Radio, who does a fantastic job as well. And he's on every night. Like I don't know how this man does it. He's on every night.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could do this on a nightly basis, but God bless the people that can, and it is absolutely spectacular. So once again, guys, go over to the Get Haunted Network, follow those guys, follow all the amazing shows that are over on the Get Haunted Network. Also, go over to KGRA Digital Broadcasting, all kinds of great shows. You got Andrea Perrin, you got Mike Rick Sector, you got Deb and RJ DeRoos, and all kinds, hundreds and hundreds of shows. Of course, you'll find the Paranormal Voice over on KGRA Digital Media. Support your local podcasters, guys. Like I said, it is great to like buy their merch, subscribe to their channels, do all that you can just to support each and every one of the podcasters. Russ, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I hope you get some rest, my friend. Uh, 4 days in a row of doing podcasting. God bless you. Get some rest, and we will see you very, very soon. Don't forget, guys, coming up next week, we are going to be at the MI Paracon up there at the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. That is August 22nd to the 24th. I believe, yes. If you haven't got your tickets for that event, I suggest you head over to the miparacon.com. Purchase your tickets. This is it, folks. The final curtain call, the last year. The bash of the century is going to go down next weekend at up in the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Once again, August 22nd to the 24th. Come on down. Everybody who's anybody in the paranormal field is going to be there. Russ's co-host Jenny, she's going to be down there. She's going to be doing some amazing things, aura pictures, and
Yep.
she's going to be raising money for Shaylee as well. Also, guys, don't forget you can go over to Rescue Dogs. That's DAWGZ.com and purchase your Shaylee t-shirt. All proceeds. We're going to have some of those shirts for sale up at the MI Paracon along with the Paranormal Voice official Merchandise is going to be there as well. So stop by, check us out. MI Paracon, here we come. Russ, in the meantime, thank you, brother, so much. Keep on doing what you guys are doing. Love you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys real soon. So that's going to do it for me and my co-host, Michael John. We look forward to be back with us very, very soon. We're just stay tuned to our Facebook page. Don't forget, if you're not a YouTube subscriber for our page, hit that like and subscribe button. Help us out, get our numbers up there. We just reached 500. We are so excited about that, and we keep wanting to bring you great content each and every week. So in the meantime and between time, folks, I say is happy huntings. And where am I? This is happy
You're in
hunting,
Canada.
folks.